Alright, so welcome to this deployment tactics video. It's for the Raven Guard, the brand new army on the channel. Massive congratulations to Mike for getting this army finished off and ready to go. Played a series of games already over on membership, 1,000 points, 1,500 and 2,000. But now they arrive on YouTube. And so to celebrate that and just to give you a bit more of a lowdown on these, we're doing two tactical videos. One's the complete army video, so if you want the full list, why Mike's chosen the units, enhancements, points, values, tactics, unit rules and so on. It's all covered in that video. That should be live now, so you can check that out. But in this video here, it's nice to see armies laid out on parade, but how do you deploy them in a game is the question, especially an army like this, which has so many multiple small units and ambush style units here as well, infiltrating, flanking, deep striking, reserve units. So deployment is a very crucial thing for an army like this. So that's what we want to cover here in this video. So that's the plan. Mike's here, he's going to run through some of his ideas for deployment for these. As per usual, you can leave your own comments and feedback in the video description below. If you like this series, do hit the thumbs up and leave a comment. It's much appreciated and helps with the video. And then to support the channel, you can do so through Patreon and also through YouTube channel membership. Join us on membership and you can check out all the games that we've played already with this army from Mike, the Raven Guard. So what we'll do is we'll lay out a typical scenario. We'll put objectives on the board, deployment zones, and then Mike can run through his theoretical deployment with these. Just before we get going, battle mat is from gamemat.eu. It's quarantine zone. We're using the one that comes with the inch markers and the Nexus deployment zones marked out, which are relevant for the new deck from Games Workshop. It's very handy for deployment, but also during the game, trying to figure out where different deployment zones are during the battle. And then we're also using the industrial terrain set from gamemat.eu and also the Warp Portal individual terrain piece from them as well. So link below. There's also an 11% discount code that you can use across the store, and they are shipping their mats and terrain worldwide. Okay, so we've got a table set up here, just with one of the missions here from the deck. So deployment zone for the Raven Guard marked by the green dice running across here. Usually in the game you've got 5 objectives. There's usually a home objective each, so Mike's is across here. And then across the other side, it's actually on top of the container over there is the home objective for the opposing player. And then usually in a game you get 3 objectives, one dead center and then one on each flank, one over there and then one just through on the warp portal just tucked on top, just like so. So for trying to win games of 10th edition, yes, hold the home objectives useful enough, but we've found time and time again it's the domination and control of that stretch of no man's land and those no man's land objectives. Important for 2 reasons. First is for picking up points for primaries, holding those objectives and raking those points in, but also for the completion of secondaries as well, to dominate as much of the table as possible, especially no man's land, and then bring in the points for secondaries. How does Mike do that with this particular list is the question. So first thing I'm going to do is Mike's going to allocate units to their, or HQs to their units. Perhaps not so much here for this particular list. He's already done it already with the librarians going into their sniper teams. They'll link up with those. They'll give them lone operative, making it more difficult to hit on the board. Shrek goes in with the assault marines, and then these 2 will remain as lone operative characters. A little bit different to usual, where you're usually putting these characters into units, but Mike's found that these operate quite nicely individually as useful units. The next stage then is reserves. It's declared now. So any units that, just in a typical game, I know you adapt depending on what the game is, but usually what do you usually put into reserve?
It would be
those
2
squads.
suppressors,
Yeah.
the 2 inceptors,
Yep.
100%. And then what I started doing is putting the Reavers in. Now, it's not a lot of points put in the reserve, so then I have choices. They can go in the reserve, deep strike. They also have deep strike.
Yeah, because for deep strike this is half the army, right? 1,000 points.
Yeah, 1,000 points.
And these units aren't particularly expensive.
Yeah, that's 150.
Yeah.
That's 240.
Yes.
These are 80. That would be my dearest single unit to put in the deep strike.
Yeah. Okay. So in a typical game, usually I've seen these usually in Inceptors usually in reserve, and usually the Reavers have to, but usually the Reavers.
Now it's also dependent on the board that you're on and what you're up against, because it can be very beneficial to bring these in.
You don't want to get shot off the board.
Shot off the board.
Gotcha.
So to bring them in deep striking.
Yeah.
You know.
For the ambush.
For the ambush, yeah.
Okay.
These I don't need to worry about.
Lone operative.
Blown up. And again, with the captain's ability, I can remove him and another Phobos unit.
Redeploy.
And redeploy.
Okay. Alright, so trying to mask your overall plan, we'll let Mike deploy a couple of his units here. The first units he usually deploy on the board. So Mike's placing the first few units here. Usually infiltrate if the opportunity is there. Now it is heavily dependent on what he's up against and where the opponent starts to deploy, conscious of ambushes and so on. But he's put a sniper team up the top here, and another Phobos team all the way at the top here. So plunging fire is going to be a thing with both of those units. Joined by the librarians.
Yeah, sorry, it will be slightly back because I need to be still 9 inches away from your opponent.
Okay, so bold deployment with snipers, interesting. Mike can move on to some other units here. All right, I think I'm glad we made this video because Mike's deployment is he's gonna explain stuff as we go along. So pushing up deeper again, more infiltration taking place. Lieutenant being deployed across there, and then these are infiltrators, but using them along the back lines. Remember, these have the rule where they can shut down deep strikers with a 12-inch bubble, so they're shutting down a large perimeter across here. A good defensive unit for the home objective. We've now got incursors going on the board right up to the edge of the deployment zone. They have a scout of 6, is it?
Yeah.
So they can push further forwards as well as needed. So multiple small units going out across the board here. So the units that Mike is not deploying is units like the Ballistic Dreadnought, for example, and also the big land speeders, the Thunderstrike and Hammerstrike. Those aren't going on the board at this point. Mike wants to mask where they end up on the table. Tactical Warsuit across here, again depending on where the opponent is and where they're deploying, but this also has the scout ability, so multiple units that can push forwards. In fact, with scout, they can go really quick. You got a 6-inch, then a 6-inch move, and a possible advance. You can swoop onto objectives very quickly. So Mike's pressed on with the rest of his deployment. So I've seen this happen time and time again. Strike in the middle, ready to pounce on that central objective. Bear in mind these have lone operative with his ability, so they look like they're exposed, but not really. Opponent's got to get within 12 to even shoot at them. And then obscuring units like this. So the land speeders here, Thunderstrike and Hammerstrike. This one obscured behind here. The other one obscured behind this. We'll play this as obscuring terrain in the game. Ballistic Dreadnought, again, tucked and hidden away, ready to emerge at the right point. Infiltrate or Incursor Squad on the right-hand side, getting ready to swoop around. They have Scout as well?
They have the Scout, yeah.
Right, so they can push forward quickly enough. The Captain, Mike said, it doesn't really matter where he goes on the board. It's more for the buffs and bonuses that he can give out, plus he can relocate as well. So that's the deployment done. It's quite shadowy. I would struggle to figure out what you're doing here in this game. There's no big like push on the left, for example. It's all spread out at different places on the board. Mike's got swift units that can redeploy onto the table or redeploy around the board to triangulate firepower and make good use of over the moment. The big question I have is infiltrating snipers. Isn't that dangerous?
Yeah, so again, sometimes I've done a couple of practice games at home. I would put something like this sometimes right up to the edge.
Yeah.
Depending on it, because you could be very, very close to me thinking, I'm going to pounce them, the likes of these. So after you've deployed everything, trying to hide from this, again, I could set up heavy over here, you're trying to hide from here. Before we find out who turn one is, I can use the captain's ability.
So it's not units within range of him, it's anyone on the board?
It is.
Okay, right, okay. So I'm beginning to understand the bold deployment for these, because Mike can guarantee remove them, right, and redeploy.
Yeah, so it is Master of the Sea. After both players have deployed their armies, if your army includes one or more of these models, you can select up to 3 friendly Adeptus Astartes units.
Right, so your snipers are covered, that's 2 units, plus potentially another. And the other thing I'm just going to say it here is, because Mike's deployed boldly and near objectives, if the situation arises where you don't need to remove them, they're in a good position.
They're in a good position.
Gotcha. Yeah. Right, okay, so just pick your favourite spot. And the other thing to point out is, because Mike's deploying boldly and infiltrating, it's blocking me from trying to infiltrate, perhaps with up my own infiltrator units. He's claiming the ground before I can get there to shut that down as well. So it's all about tactics here with this bold deployment from the snipers. So anything else you want to say, Mike? I'm just going to call out it's clearer now to see the deep strikers. So 2 squads here, deep striking. So Mike's units, none of his units are isolated. He can call in decent support at any point, or turn 2 onwards. And then even Reavers as well to lend some support turn 2 onwards as well. So anything else to point out in this one? Just a general deployment in this one, but it's typical. I've seen this sort of line up before with strike in the middle, multiple units spread out, and then being bold with the infiltrator units, because Mike knows for free, right? So it's an ability.
Yep.
Yeah, he can just remove them and redeploy. Very interesting. Okay, and the idea is that Mike's force can adapt.
Well, that's the idea, yes.
As the situations arise during the game. So that's the video, just to give you an idea of how these can operate as in the deployment phase and theorizing how the game will go. To actually see them in action, to see if Mike's ideas work, then you can check them out in our battle reports on membership, and also increasingly on YouTube as well. You can see how well the Raven Guard get on against the different foes that they face. Battle Mat and Terrain from GameMat.eu. Big congratulations to Mike for painting up this army. It's great to see Raven Guard fully represented on the channel. If you enjoy the series, do hit the thumbs up and leave a comment, and we appreciate the comments that come through. You can make suggestions about tactics, how to use them in games, what units would you drop, what units would you add for this Raven Guard force. Keep a look out for more videos on the channel. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time.